Hey guys, it's Slater the OK, and I'm coming in with a deck tech of my Charming Esper list. So this is the updated version, the version that I've settled on, I've tried, and honestly I think I like this one the most. So I'm going to be going over how to play it because this is a very complicated deck, and I've gotten a lot of people that have tried it out talk to me about how they're not doing nearly as well as I am. So first thing I'm going to say is this is primarily a best of 3 list. You can try it on best of 1, but if you do, you're going to have to change things around. Like maybe taking out Agent of Treachery for more board wipes since there's a lot more aggro in there. So first off, this is a best of 3 deck. You can tweak it a little bit for best of 1. And the second thing is this is a complicated deck, so if you do pick it up and you want to take it out for a spin, it might take a couple times before you really just kind of get it down. But I'm going to make this video to kind of help you guys out also. So the first card of the deck, the thing that makes this whole entire thing possible, is Charming Prince. Now this card is nuts. I mean, you can slam it on turn 2, scry against some life if you're playing against aggro, but the main ability that I'm using him for is the blinking. Exiling another target creature you own and return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. That is just such a good mode that you can select on him that I think is just not being utilized at all. Like, even I was talking with somebody, even in the Knights deck, like, why aren't they blinking their acclaimed contender to get another Knight? I mean, it's such a good thing. So what we're doing with this is we want to blink all of our cards, like the Lost. This guy is honestly one of the most underrated cards from War. There's a reason why it's rare. Being able to cycle through your deck for 2 mana, draw a card, and get 1/1 chump blocker is great. But what I really think puts him over the edge, especially with all of these adventure cards, is when he becomes the target of a spell, shuffle him back into your library. That is awesome. I cannot tell you how many people have lost Bone Crusher Giants, Murderous Riders, just trying to remove him so they can get some extra damage, and then he goes back into the library, so the spell doesn't resolve and goes directly to the graveyard. That's just pretty awesome. And then you can draw him again later, draw him 2 more cards. Or you can do what I do the majority of the time, is I blink him with Charming Esper, because Charming Esper is not a spell, it's an ability. I can blink him again and get an extra card. Now he also works really well, and I want to drop Charming Prince on turn 3 also for Burglar Rat. Let's say I'm playing a control archetype. I'm going to drop off the Burglar Rat, and I'm going to blink him again with Charming Prince, and all of a sudden they are discarding a card on turn 2 and turn 3, and I have 3 power on board. It's just, it's honestly a card I think I've kind of put very underrated. It's definitely good at a common rate, but it's a very good card. I mean, if you're playing against aggro, you're dropping this off turn 2, all of a sudden you have a chump blocker, and you're taking probably gas out of their hand. I mean, I have a lot of guys or people that I'm playing against, and I'll drop this off turn 2, they'll discard a mountain or swamp, and then all of a sudden they come back to regret that, going, oh, I am now stuck on 1 to 2 mana because Burglar Rat came down. And it's just, honestly, it's surprising how good this card has been. Now another one of my blink targets, and actually kind of almost one of my main win cons for this deck, is going to be Elite Guard Mage and Bellhaunt. Now these cards do 2 very, very important things for this deck. There's mainly they're gaining 3 life when they're coming down on turn 4, and that's the main goal. If I'm playing a control deck, I want to get the Guard Mage down as quick as possible. I want to refill my hand, I want to gain that life back, and I want a 2/3 flying blocker that if they don't have anything down, I'm going to start hitting them in the air with. And then the other one is the Bellhaunt. This is one of my all-time favorite cards right now in Standard. Coming down, providing a 3/4 body, gaining 3 life, and taking a card out of their hand is just nuts. If you're playing against an aggro deck and you drop this turn 4, it swings the game. It's ridiculous. And of course, unless they have Embercleave. But other than that, even you dropping this out, I can't tell you how many times I hit Embercleave with the discard because they're sitting there with their 1 card left going, haha, I'm going to surprise them with Embercleave. Bam, this hits the ground. All of a sudden, they're taking a card out of their hand. I'm gaining 3 life, and I've got a pretty good blocker on the field. So these are the main win cons, which is oddly enough because this is a mid-range deck. So I want to get to turn 4, and then I drop these down. I want to blink him with Charming Prince or Justicar's Portal. So one little interaction in this that I really enjoy is there's a reason why there's 2 Justicar portals in this and not Teferi's Time Twist or the other blue blink spell, and that is because you can blink Burglar Rat and Bellhaunt on their draw step, and if they're in top deck mode, you can instantly just get rid of whatever card they're drawing. It's bam, by on their draw step. They now have to skip their turn pretty much. Sometimes it's a land, sometimes it's an Embercleave, sometimes it's an Agent of Treachery, sometimes it's a Teferi. I mean, it's just whatever they're drawing, all of a sudden you're making them take their whole entire turn off. And then, so that's the main blink targets and the main ways to blink them. Now, of course, we do have Teferi in here. He's mainly in here because Flash has seen a big uptick, and he's like a bad blink spell. So you drop him off turn 3 with some of these blockers out. Then turn 4, you can pick one of these up, or maybe drop this off and pick this back up with Teferi. Then you're drawing a card, and you're maybe drawing 2 cards because you're going to pick this up, draw a card with Teferi, and then drop it right back down, get 3 life, and draw another card. I mean, he's just kind of in there to protect against counters, kind of pick these guys up as a bad blink spell. But another thing that I'm really enjoying is this is not crucial to the deck. Teferi is just in here because he's a really good card, great tempo, stops counters, and people go out of their way to kill Teferi. They see Teferi and they just get this bloodlust, and they're just, I gotta do whatever I can to kill it. And then they start making bad trades. Like, I'll be trading a Burglar Rat for like a 2/1 Paradise Druid, so they'll be cutting themselves down on mana or something like that. And they just go out of their way to kill this Teferi, and he's really just not that crucial to this deck. I mean, as you can see, I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 non-creature spells. And 1 sorcery. I mean, like, he's just not crucial to the deck, but it's a bad blink spell, which in turn is a good one. It's great tempo, and it's just, people just go crazy. So the reason why I'm running Mortify over a Murderous Rider is because of the uptick in Fires decks. I mean, I mainly want to kill the creatures, but I've seen so many enchantments coming down. Mortify has been crucial. I mean, just being able to take out all of these enchantments, taking out Fires. I've still seen quite a few Experimental Frenzies running around. There's Dance of the Man's decks coming out with Doom. I should kill Doom. I mean, the amount of targets that this can hit, I think, is actually more important than being able to take out a Planeswalker. And also, if they're playing a Planeswalker, hopefully we can get it with one of our big payoffs, which is Agent of Treachery. Now, I'm running so many blink spells, it's almost crazy not to be running Agent of Treachery. I've played games where I've blinked it 4 times, 4 turns in a row, and all of a sudden I'm stealing everything that they have. And they're just left with nothing, and I'm just stealing so much, it just swings the game ridiculously. Now, I don't want any more than 2, and also I was running 1 for a while, just because I don't, 7's a huge cost, and it's not the main thing. It's not every deck is going to have something you're going to want to steal, and you just got so many other options, but it's too good not to have in here. And so then that's another one of my main payoffs that I'm trying to get to, but I don't want to run too many of them. And then, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm just kind of trying to explain these in a way that feels fluid. And then, as another kind of removal and blink spell, I've got Tyrant Scorn. Now, this is so good against aggro. You're just killing whatever you want, and it's not a dead card late game, which I also really enjoy. I mean, I've used the return target creature to its owner's hand so many times. I'm either blinking one of my own guys, picking up one of their big ones. They'll be trying to drop a Embercleave on Questing Beast, I'll just make them pick Questing Beast back up. I mean, I've just done that a lot of times. I think this is a really, really powerful card, especially in a deck like this, where I can target their side or my side. And then I've already explained this column and this column, and now onto one of my aggro hoses, Dungeon Geist. This card has been so underrated, and I didn't realize how good it was until I stuck 2 of them in this deck because I needed 2 slots. I was just like, this will help out against big creature decks. This card destroys big creature decks, especially if they're playing like mono green. You drop this down on one of their large threats, all of a sudden you have a 3/3 flyer, and Questing Beast doesn't untap. Especially if they've got like Embercleave put onto it and they don't have really many other creatures that would benefit from it like a Questing Beast does. All of a sudden you're just locking down their strongest card and you're hitting him in the air each turn for 3. This card is very good. And let's say you drop it down, you knock out a Paradise Druid that's tapped. All of a sudden they drop a Questing Beast. Oh, well, you just blink it, all of a sudden you reset the target, and you now have to tap down 2 of their creatures. I've actually used that to help finish out a couple games, where I'll be blinking this so I can tap down another creature and I'll swing through it. Now, another card that a lot of people kind of recommend I go up on, but honestly, I find myself cutting it a couple times, is Lumbering Battlement. Now, this card, when it's good, it's game-winning good. I mean, it is really good. But when it's bad, it's just kind of, it's alright, it's average. Because a 4/5 Vigilance Attacker is actually pretty good. But when you're putting it down and you're grabbing a Charming Prince, Fibbleflibbit, Burglar Rat, and a Guard Mage. All of a sudden, this thing is huge. I've swung with, what was it, a 16, 17 before. That's just a ridiculous thing. But it does kind of take all of these creatures' army that you have and put under one attacker. You swing with that, and they can just chump block for days, which is annoying. But at the same time, it's a gigantic clock on the field that they get scared of, and then they kill it, and then all of a sudden you're drawing a card, they're discarding a card, you're drawing another card, they're discarding another card, and you're stealing something. And then you blink it again with the Charming Prince, and it resets everything. I mean, one thing that I love doing with this is putting it down, like putting it underneath an Agent of Treachery, a Lost, a Burglar Rat, the Bell Haunt, and whatever else, and I'll drop a Charming Prince and I'll blink it. And all of a sudden I'm getting all of those triggers again, and it goes right back underneath them. Then all of those go right back underneath Battlement, and all of a sudden I've like drawn 3 cards, they've discarded 2, and I've stolen something, and they're facing against a 16, whatever, 12, 13, just this gigantic creature that they freak out, and then they kill it, and then I get all those triggers again. It's like I said, it's a great payoff, but on the other side, you don't really want to draw this with an empty board, because then it's just kind of a 4 or 5 vigilance for 5, which is just kind of not very good. But if you even have 1 creature down, a 6/7 vigilance attacker is pretty darn good. And then, of course, we're going to come up with our last card. We have Time Wipe. Now, this is the best board wipe that you could have with this deck. I mean, let's say you're getting overrun. They've got a Questing Beast. I've been facing a lot of Questing Beasts lately, if you can't tell. Bone Crusher Giants and all these other things. And you're excited the board, and nobody's really going anywhere. All of a sudden, you can Time Wipe, and you can pick up your Agent of Treachery, your Bell Haunt, or your Guard Mage, and you wipe the board, and then you drop that right back down, and all of a sudden, you're up a card, or they're down a card, or you're stolen something. I mean, this is a really good board wipe, and just mainly for this deck. And then, of course, I got all the 4 copies of every land you need. I've only got 2 castles. 2 of each castle, because I don't want too many of them running out, because it is kind of crucial that I have the mana that I need coming in untapped on turn 4 so I can play these. Because if I'm playing an aggro deck, I'm going to need to gain the ground back by gaining the life and drawing a card, or by making them discard one, or locking down one of their creatures. Now, switching over to the sideboard, which I should have had this open from the beginning, I do have 2 Duress in here. Because I'm facing a control deck, I want to take as much out of their hand as possible. So you've got the Burglar Rats, the Bell Haunts, and the Duresses. I mean, there's a good chance that you're just going to shred their hand. Noxious Grasp. One card that I've noticed that this deck has a hard time fighting is Nissa and Questing Beast, because if you've noticed, I think Bell Haunt's the only thing that's above a 2 power. So Noxious Grasp is extremely good here. D-Spark, I love D-Spark. Hitting anything that costs 4 mana and above, I mean, in this deck, that's all of these. Like, that's all the main payoffs. You're hitting so many Planeswalkers and everything with it. And of course, you're not going to bring it in against an aggro deck, but against any other mid-range or control deck, or Fires deck, this is a really good card. Now, Murderous Rider, again, I do have this deck that's had problems with some of the larger Planeswalkers. I mean, if I'm not stealing them, I do want to just get rid of it. And if I'm playing a deck that is very crucial on creatures, I'm going to bring this in against them. I've run it in against Fires and like mono green decks that I really need to get rid of the creatures with. Ley Line of the Void, self-explanatory. If they're playing anything with Graveyard, I'm going to bring in both of these and then just hope that it's there from the opening hand, so that way I drop it down. Yes, I'm at 6 cards, but at the same time, the graveyard's just gone. Cat combo decks, like, this just ruins their day. I've had so many people concede the moment I drop this down. And then they'll try to play it out, and then turn 4 they just give up. It's really strong against those. This card, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about going up another one of these. If I'm playing an aggro deck and I slam this down, it's almost a guaranteed win. It is ridiculous. So it's a 4/5 hexproof for 5. Meh. But it's a 4/5 hexproof for 5 that also comes with 2 0/2 tokens that whenever these tokens block it, it doesn't untap its next phase. That buys me a whole turn, and I've had people put was it Embercleave on their Questing Beast, and or not Questing Beast, on I don't know, I've been facing a lot of those lately. But you know, they would put on their Bone Crusher Giant, a block with Illusion. All of a sudden, they're what was it? They're 5/4 double strike trampler, can't swing again, or they're whatever creatures that they have. And if I'm playing like a small aggro deck and you drop this in, they're just good blockers, like against Cavalcade, unless they've got the Flying Chandra flame thingy, or wow, I'm drawing a blank. The little one that's unblockable, not Gingerbread, but the other one. But pretty much anything else is going to be stopped in their tracks by those illusions, and it's going to be not able to untap. And then, of course, I've got 2 more time wipes. If I'm playing the aggro decks, I'm going to be taking out the Agent of Treacheries and putting in time wipes. And then Liliana's Dreadhorde General. This one's in here because it's really good in some matchups, like in removal-heavy matchups that aren't running a lot of counterspells. This is a really good one because then I'm dropping my creatures, drawing cards, and then when those creatures die, I'm drawing more cards. And then I'm making a little army, and sometimes you can just make them sack half their board. And so, yeah, just going a quick through. You want to bring this in against the control decks if they're playing green, larger control decks, creature heavy decks that you just really need to remove their big threats, bring in that graveyard decks, aggro, and then kind of matchup dependent. If you're noticing they're running a lot of removal and they notice you don't have planeswalkers, then it's a good card to bring in. But one of the main powers of this deck is people see, oh, they're playing Esper colors, I need to bring in Duress and other stuff that hates planewalkers, and I'll bring in Sorcerer's Spyglass and Name Teferi. That's the wrong thing to do against this deck. Like, I know I'm kind of putting out there my little secret weapon, but don't do that against this deck. And you'll see people do that against you if you play it a lot. They'll bring in the Duress, the Sorcerer's Spyglass, and they'll Name Teferi, and then they'll try to pick something out of your hand, but you've got Charming Princes, Burglar Rats, Bell Haunts, Guard Mages, and everything, and then they'll just grab a time wipe, and you're just kind of like, okay. So that's another really good power about this deck, is everybody just assumes it's Esper control, and it's not. It's not control in any way. It's actually very much a mid-range deck. So it hoses aggro, and control is kind of a bad matchup because I want the game to go long, but I don't want it to go too long. And the main things that close it out is this column right here, all the 4-drops. And then, of course, if I'm able to blink an Agent of Treachery, most people just concede. But these are going to be the main cards that win you the game. So that's kind of a basic rundown of the deck. If you want me to, I'll go even more in depth in it later. But like as you can tell, the main goal is to get one of these guys down turn 2, blink it turn 3 with Charming Prince, turn 4 hopefully drop something in this column down, and blink it again with Charming Prince, Portal, or something like that. And then once you get a large board and the board state starts to stall, drop a Lumbering Battlement. And people just freak out. They don't know what to do against this gigantic monster coming at them every turn. Then they remove it, and then you're getting all these triggers again. So I hope that kind of help explains and runs through with the deck. I'm going to be uploading this as soon as I can, and if you guys have any questions about how to use the deck or anything like that, or card choices, I'll let you know. Like there's a reason why I'm running Portal over Teferi's Time Twist, is because I want to blink my creatures. I don't really care that much about the lands, and I want to do it at instant speed and have it come back at instant speed so I can hit people on their draw step. Some other people are suggesting that blue Portal that you can use once a turn to blink it back on your turn. I honestly don't like that. Yeah, it's probably better late game than some of these other threats, but the majority of the time I'm going to be wanting to use this at instant speed to either dodge a removal spell, make them discard a card whenever I want them to. I mean, it's just, I put a lot of thought to this deck. So if you guys do want to build it, I would suggest building it as is. Try it out in best of 3. Again, best of 3 for a couple matches. Message me, email me, send me comments on here about the changes that you'd like to make, and I'll run it through. I've tried a lot of different variations. I even have a historic variation of this deck that I like because I love this playstyle so much. So yeah, just hit me up. I'll answer any questions that you guys have. Alright, so thank you for paying attention, and I will be uploading a couple leagues and 5 matches with this list, just so you guys can kind of see it in action a little bit better. Because the other one with Deputy was good, but this one's a lot better. Alright, so thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a good holiday, because it's New Year's Day here, so Happy New Year, everybody.